This segment brought to you by Bravo Company USA. Hey gang, Larry Vickers out here at Gunsite, courtesy of our good friends of Mile High Shooting Accessories. I'm taking a minute to sit down with my buddy Walt Wilkinson, and we got a little Walt long distance Q&A. Got a few questions here, feel free to pontificate.
Will do.
Okay, first off up front here, 1,000 yards. We've been talking here on breaks and whatnot about how 1,000 yards isn't quite what it used to be. Is that still where the men separate from the boys?
This is true, all right? And I want to lead out with, people think that simply because it's done in competition that a 1,000-yard shot on an animal is easy. Not the case. The trick, and a lot of times of shooting at 1,000 yards, is the shooter knows that exact range. And they can apply that to their ballistic software or their dope on a card or something, and they can make a hit if that's the distance. But the danger space on a 12-inch target at that distance is just about 10 yards in and 11 yards out on a 12-inch target. If you've misjudged the range by that much, you have completely missed that 12-inch target. So there's one thing that you can do in competition, all right, and there's another thing responsibility-wise that you should do in hunting.
Got it.
All right.
So 1,000 yards, still 1,000 yards.
Yes,
still
it is. All right.
At.
The wind decides whether or not you hit. I'm still shooting in the 50 caliber Shooter Association, and there's not very many bullets out there that have a better ballistic coefficient than a 50 round. All right. It's over 1.1. And that handles the wind better than anything out there. And yet, we have bench rest shooters who will miss 3 feet off the side of that center simply because the wind has shifted or picked up 5 miles an hour.
Okay, so 1,000 yards it's still
it's
something.
It is a goal. It is an achievement. Yes, it is.
Okay, number 2. You've said this before, I'm assuming it's still the case. 1 MOA is still what you're going for when in terms of the shooter, gun, ammo, optic combo, 1 MOA.
This is true. And I'll roll right back into the 50 caliber Shooter Association shooting bench at 1,000, all right? The end of the day, the ag on a $10,000 comp gun in a machine rest, if it's under an MOA, they have really accomplished something. So when I'm able to hold a 1 MOA group at any distance, that's an achievement because 1, we've got the inherent accuracy or lack thereof of the rifle, of that particular bullet, and I can't hold, and very few shooters can hold that rifle perfectly centered. I would say I've got about 1/3 of an MOA hold in the prone position. So automatically, I'm throwing that much out. So still to me, if you're performing 1 MOA, you're accomplishing something.
Good deal. All right, number 3, we talked about this before, and this is something that you wanted to hit upon. New technology that has come on board, the long range seed. What do we got?
The first thing, talking about lab radar. Okay, you've got a chronograph there that measures 5 different velocities for you that you set out to your front. You're not shooting through screens. It's really easy to do, all right? Next, electronic levels that are going on the guns now that really, really make it easy to keep that thing level, all right? Next, the instrumentation available to the individual, all right? Before, really expensive stuff to measure pressures and expansions was not available to the individual. So we've got pressure trace, where you're putting a strain gauge on the barrel itself, and the individual shooter can determine the P wave, how much and what kind of different chamber pressures are being, so that when they're reloading, they can come up with a more accurate load. And then just here recently, the shot marker. All right, it is a target that you build yourself of up to 8 feet. You've got 4 microphones on it. Set it up, and once you've calibrated it, all right, it shows you the exact location of where your bullet struck on the target, anywhere from 15 yards all the way out to where the round goes transonic. As long as it's traveling the sound barrier, it does this. all right? We're using that here at Gunsite, and the number one thing, in addition to not having to go down range, it sends a wireless signal back to us. The most important thing that this system does, it gives us a downrange velocity. So when we measure muzzle velocity of a round and the downrange velocity at 1,000 yards of 5 rounds and average that out, and you put that in your ballistic software, it gives you a perfect BC, all right? A lot of people don't understand that when you add a muzzle brake to your rifle, when you add a suppressor to your rifle, that changes the ballistic coefficient of the bullet. So what's on the box or what's on the internet may be close, but it's not going to be completely accurate for your rifle with your load the way that you've got your system set up. And this is not $1 million. This is an excellent system that's available to the individual shooter. So that's a big deal, especially in the extreme long-range world of being able to tune your software perfectly and quickly. Saves barrel life, saves money, and in the end is more accurate. Awesome technology that's out there.
Excellent. I learned something. Number 4, optics. Where are we at with optics? What's your thought process on all that?
The two things, the extreme long range matches that we're having now and the PRS NRL matches have now created a greater market for optics. And when a company is going to know that they're going to be selling a lot of scopes, if they build it in this range, in this range, in this range, they're willing to invest in that. So the proliferation of all of these shooting sports that we have that are pulling in the tactical minded guys and practical guys, all right, that's a much greater market than the bench rest folks and the hunters. But yet those people also benefit from this because those scopes, all right, rifle scopes, will bleed over into that world. Also in the spotting scope world, all right. We keep pushing, and everybody that's out there keeps nitpicking on some of the better spotting scope companies to start putting reticles in these things, all right, because they're needed. To me, a spotting scope without a reticle is useless. It is just completely useless. All right.
And some of the higher end companies, they kind of aim at bird watchers and other markets where the reticle isn't needed. They need to understand on this side of the house it is absolutely needed.
It's necessary. Once it becomes commonplace and there's training available, if it's even videos on YouTube on how to work that, hunters can apply that very same thing. SWAT teams can apply that. I had a group here a year or so ago, and we were doing a rural operation thing, and they really didn't like the reticle range finding piece of what we were doing. But when I showed them that, if you know the distance to your target, you can use the reticle to measure how high that window is above the ground. And all of a sudden, the size of the window, the width of the door, the height of the stairs, all that. Oh, okay. And now they start listening because all that has all kinds of different uses. So yes, yeah.
Good deal. All right, coming up here, we already kind of hit on it a little bit here. Extreme long range competitions, PRS, I guess that a lot of that is what's really driving this train.
Yeah, we were really surprised. We started King of 2 Mile and the 50 Caliber Shooter Association in 2015. And the first one was really a mess, as you are with any competition when you start off. But then there was a huge interest that started going into it. And then we got some companies involved that wanted to build better things. And it has taken off in the last 4 years. It is just spellbinding to me. We've got stock manufacturers building better stocks. We've got a better selection of barrels for the bigger calibers. We've got newer calibers that are actually coming out. The 460 Steyr was resurrected because there is a demand, better brass being made for it. All these different bullet manufacturers are producing a better quality, solid bullet, all right, on a CNC machine. You've got optic companies building optics, not only on the spotting scope side, all right, but also on the rifle scope side. Night Force is one of the big ones on this. with the 7 to 35, which at this point to me that's the gold standard, and they have no peer. All right. Same thing on the PRS and the NRL side. Look at the proliferation of barrels and new chassis, all the different companies that are out there, the bags that are being made, the target companies that are pushing stuff. And now there's, on the optics side, companies that are building intermediate magnification optics that are really suited for those guys. Once again, when there is a demand, the companies will start putting that money into research and building better things. And when they build more of them, they can bring that price point down, so that more and more people can afford them. A lot of companies out there building a entry-level precision rifle. All right, a lot of companies doing that as well, so that you don't have to have a custom built $5,000 or $6,000 or $7,000 gun to get in these competitions. You can spend $1,000 to $1,300 and get out there and get introduced into the sport. And that's what we want, is people getting into the sport.
Interesting you bring that up, because that brings us into the next point, or next question. New shooters starting out, what do you recommend?
First and foremost, training. Go to a class and actually get trained up on how to do this. All right. The normal male mentality of, I've been shooting since I've been 6 years old, and you've been doing it wrong since you were 6 years old, on a rifle that did not fit you, trained by somebody who didn't know what they were doing. All right, your father, your grandfather. Spend a little bit of money to get training. There are all kinds of them across the country. All right, everywhere. 2 and 3 day classes. Take an initial one. All right. Work through it, and then go back and take another one. And then it gives you an idea. They're not only going to train you on how to shoot, but normally they have rental stuff available, so you don't waste your money, all right, on expensive equipment, only to find out that you don't really like doing this, okay? And then go after it seriously. Once you understand what you're doing, go to a competition. I say this all the time to folks here. Guys, I promise you will not be the worst shooter there. And every club out there wants shooters to come in. At first, if you showed up on the range shooting, they would be watching you. They watch everybody. And then once they understand your strengths and weaknesses, then they lighten up some. But that's the thing to do. All right, go out and shoot competitions.
Good deal.
All right.
Now, last but not least, what is new out here at Gunsite? I know we were talking, getting ready to come out here, and you said you guys have been doing all kinds of stuff. Records, attendance.
Yes.
What's going
on? Since you've been out here the last time, we have added 3 outdoor simulators. All right. Our original ones, the North Draw, the Donga, and the West Wash, those were our 3. Now we have 3 more. All right. We're upgrading the range that we're on right now, the York range, to having quality turning targets, and also it set it up for an additional pistol range. We're working with the county right now on getting permits to build a 4th shoot house. All right. It's a rarity throughout the year that our 250 class, our basic pistol, our main class that we have here, is not splitting, meaning we have enough students that we actually have 2 250s going on at the same time. Record attendance. We're adding additional courses all the time. One of our big ones that has been a real good hit is church defense. Folks come in and actually get trained up on the planning of this, how to handle it, how to prepare people, not only on the shooting side, but the building itself, all right? So that they can come and get training, and that's been really popular. We've added a number of courses for the senior citizens, all right? Seasoned citizen, carbine, pistol, shotgun, all of those things, which is a lot less movement, a lot less up and down, and getting those folks trained up so they're able to protect themselves in their homes, because they are targets, clearly, all right, big time. On the precision rifle side, we've added 3 additional ranges since you've been here, all right? We've expanded every range out here from 5 to 7 firing points. our long-range rifle class has expanded from 5 days to 7. In addition to that, we've added an additional class, the advanced precision rifle, all right? And it not only gives a pretty good introduction to the PRS competitions, but also in more unconventional positions that bleed over sometimes into hunting in that sense, because we don't feel that long-range hunting is ethical, and we don't teach it at all, but still it's good to prepare people that are going to do that so that they are successful and you end up with a more humane hunt on that end. If you did not notice, the number one thing that has changed is we pave the road.
Yeah.
Wasn't that something? Okay. The number one complaint that we always had on so many critique forums is y'all need to fix the road. And it's like, well, we don't own the road. It just simply comes across and it's an easement. It's not a county road. So the owner here, Buzz Mills, forked up large dollars to pave that road, and he keeps it in repair, all right, and well done. So everybody kind of likes that as well.
Good deal.
We've added a lot of steel out here, and like I say, just a lot of new classes.
I'm glad to see
It's
you
really
guys are
good.
doing well, man.
Yes,
Yeah.
very much so. We're really happy about it, and we'll continue to improve every year.
Good deal.
That's our goal.
Excellent. Good to see you, my friend.
Same here.
From Gunsite, courtesy of Mile High Shooting Accessories, Walt Wilkinson, Larry Vickers. Have a good one. See you later. LAV out.